Okay, thank you for having me. My name is Monique. The Assembly Bill 540, also known as AB 540, is a law that has been active in California since 2001. This law lets immigrant students receive in-state tuition. To be eligible for the AB 540, these students have to attend a California high school for a minimum of 3 years and receive a high school diploma. My mom is a college counselor, and she works with AB 540 students all the time. There is one story that stuck out to me the most. This student's name was Maria. Maria was brought here by her parents illegally at the age of 6. Because of the AB 540, she was able to continue her education after high school and came to Fullerton College. After Fullerton College, she transferred to Cal State Long Beach, and because she was illegal, she wasn't able to receive financial aid and had to keep dropping out of Cal State Long Beach. And if the DREAM Act was passed, then she would have been able to stay in college like full time and got her education. The DREAM Act stands for Develop a Leap of and Education for Aliens. If youth immigrants were given the chance to continue their education through the DREAM Act, they would be able to get a higher education. The way they could take advantage of this would be by getting a higher education from in-state tuition or from getting some sort of financial aid. They could also, in time, receive permanent residency. According to Dr. Carlos E. Rodriguez, an ethics study teacher from Florida University, it costs more to incarcerate an immigrant than it is to educate one. It costs $79 per day to keep an immigrant incarcerated in Florida. After a year, that would be $28,835. Where if an immigrant student were to get financial aid, they would get a maximum of $6,000 a year. In this speech, in time, the DREAM Act will actually increase government's revenue by $2.3 billion within the next 10 years. In this speech, I will argue that the DREAM Act should be passed. First, I will argue that keeping immigrant students from in-state tuition or receiving financial aid would keep them from getting a higher education. And second, I would argue how passing the DREAM Act could actually help these students get a higher education. And third, I would argue that passing of this bill would not cause a social and economic burden. Immigrant children are allowed to receive, immigrant students can go to public schooling from kindergarten to 12th grade. So you have these students that are trying through school because they want to be successful and further their education, but at the end of the day, they're kind of forgotten because if they want to continue their education, that they get a non-residence, they have to pay non-residence fee. And that could either be out-of-state or foreign student. And a lot of these students live in low-income families, so they don't have money for that. If these students were given the chance of the DREAM Act, they would actually be able to continue their education. These students have civil rights these immigrants have civil rights as students. They have the right to continue their education because they were brought here by this country. They were taken from their culture, their family, their friends, everything they know, and it wasn't their choice. They kind of had to come because they were kids. To be eligible for the DREAM Act, there's 9 conditions that need to be done before they could actually receive any financial aid off the DREAM Act. The first 5 are the most important. So the first one is they have to come to this country before the age of 16. The second one is they have to live here for a consecutive of 5 years. The third one is they have to be under the age of 29. The fourth one is they either have to get a high school diploma, a GED, or they will have to enter the military for at least 2 years. And the fifth one is they have to have good moral character. The last 4 are more like medical tests and documents and papers that need to be filled out. As a society, if we let these immigrants get an education, they could help the society achieve greatness and the economy. These students are fighting for their right for education, which means that they actually do want to become something successful. at the end of the day. So, according to Alejandra Rico, in her book, Si Se Puede, Undocumented Immigrants' Undocumented Struggle for Education and the Right to Stay. A lot of Americans think that letting these immigrants stay will actually cause violence, which isn't really true because these students do want to get an education, but if they know at the end of the day when they graduate they probably won't, why should they stay out of trouble? Because, I don't know, I probably wouldn't if I knew that I couldn't do anything after I graduated from high school. A lot of these people actually also don't want to give these students financial aid because they think that they're all involved in like criminal acts. They think that they're going to use the money towards something bad. According to Stephen E. Cumming from the Center of Immigrant Studies, he said that all immigrants that attend college will receive some sort of financial aid off taxpayers, which isn't completely true. Some will receive financial aid, but that doesn't mean all of them will. Some will just receive in-state tuition, and the maximum they would actually receive is only $6,000. And this could actually help the government's revenue because you'll have more students applying for universities, and since the universities need money, they'll have more students attending, and they'll get money off units like books, tuition, like all that stuff, so you actually get more money. So, in this speech, I argue that how if you would deny an immigrant student the right to continue their education, or the right from in-state tuition or financial aid, it would actually help keep them from getting a higher education, and it will actually cause some sort of like violence in the streets. Second, that passing the DREAM Act will actually solve this and help students become successful and do something in society instead of just sitting there. And this actually will not cause social and economic burden.